This is Secret Mom Hacks episode number 1. My name is Krista and I'll be your host. To help us get started on the right foot, get to know each other a little better, I'm going to tell you about my birth plan, my birth story. You know, a lot of us mamas really like to talk about our birth stories. What happened in that room? What happened over the course of a few hours? Or if you're one of the unlucky few, my hand is raised in the air right now because I am one of those few that went on for not just hours at a time, for it lasted over the course of days to get through our birth story and to meet our baby. But I'm going to talk with you about my birth plan, my birth story, and share whether or not it ultimately went out the window when it came to be go time with having baby girl. I'm also going to tell you one of the best / easiest things you can check off your to-do list when it comes to preparing for baby's arrival. And speaking of preparation, what does it look like when your birth plan gets derailed, and how do you cope with that? Thanks for tuning in, Mama. I am your host. As I said, my name is Krista. I am a first-time podcaster. I'm a first-time mom. And as of this recording, I'm chasing around a 15-month-old that no amount of Googling mom groups or what to expect when you're expecting books were able to prepare me for. There's a lot of stuff people don't talk about when it comes to mom life and parenthood, pre-pregnancy, during pregnancy, postpartum. And as someone who was previously terrified of childbirth, I'm here to help you pull back the curtain, quite literally, on all of it. And every now and then, it may get a little messy, all right? We may share a little TMI, but that's why you're here, right? Because can I just tell you, there were a couple of times I wish a few folks would have told me TMI so that I just kind of knew some of the things I was getting into. But you know what? There's not a thing I would change about everything with how our birth went. You know, at the end of the day, we did get blessed with a happy, giggly little baby doll who is super healthy, thankfully. So anyway, but we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. My goal is that you'll leave every episode feeling refreshed, inspired, hopeful, knowing that you are not on this mom journey alone. Okay, mama? There's a lot of subject matter to cover when it comes to, to talking about mom life, and we are leaving no stone unturned. So, as I said, to make sure we get started on the right foot, just so you know I have some street cred, I thought it would be most fitting to share our birth story, which will also include a chat about birth plans. So you're going to crack up when I tell you how I found out I was pregnant. Now, in case you don't know, a pregnancy is divided into 3 trimesters, okay? The first trimester is from week 1 to the end of week 12. The second trimester is from week 13 to the end of week 26. And the third trimester is from week 27 to the birth of the baby, the end of the pregnancy. So when did I find out I was pregnant? Y'all, I found out I was pregnant right around 20 weeks. All right. So I was halfway through my second trimester when I found out. And a lot of people talk about morning sickness and just feeling terrible during that first trimester. And somehow I was very fortunate. And I know some of you who have been through a really ill feeling first and second trimester, you're probably like cursing me right now. Probably throwing out cuss words, because I know I have a couple of friends who were just so ill during their first and second trimester. And so I realize it was truly a blessing that I did not endure some of that. But let me tell you, so here's what happened. Turns out I got pregnant right around, it was probably around Halloween is when we kind of trace it back. We'll just say it was sometime, near the end of the year, we'll say. And So it was leading into the holidays, basically. And what is everybody doing around the holidays? We're going to I say birthday parties. My birthday is actually around the holidays. So we're celebrating birthdays. Thanksgiving is thrown in there. Christmas is thrown in there. And there's all of these work parties, holiday, Christmas parties, family gatherings, just everybody's getting together at the end of the year, right? And so what are you doing? You're eating, you're drinking, you're being merry, you're having all kinds of fun. And I'm just going to say, when there's food out, guys, I like to eat, okay? I am not one to shy away from a plate of food, okay? I like my sweets, I like my salties, I like my cocktails and mocktails and, the yummy drinks and all of that jazz. So I'm living it up over the holidays, and it gets to be into the new year, okay? So, I'm going into this new year. So now, and we're talking about 2018 at this point. So as of this recording, we're currently in 2019 as of the recording of this podcast. And so that's why I shared earlier, I do have a 15-month-old. So when I found out I was pregnant, it was the beginning of 2018. And it was kind of one of those things where, just completely being honest here, I just am not very good at tracking my cycles, okay? It's never been at the top of my list. I'm just not real good at it. So I was not paying attention to the fact that I had not had my cycle in a couple of months. Okay. And I was also kind of like, man, I'm feeling bloated. And two, what does everybody do at the beginning of the new year? You're like, this is gonna be my best year ever. I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna eat right. All my clothes are gonna, fit right exactly how I want them to. And so I had gone into this new year just kind of feeling kind of feeling bloated and just not myself, unbeknownst to me because I was pregnant, but just, kind of started getting on this rant of like, I've just got to lose, 5 or 10 pounds. That'll make me feel a little better. So I started working out more. I started taking some bar classes and some Pilates classes, and I got some new workout clothes, and I'm like, working out and everything. And I'm just like, man, this belly is not going away. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I've totally got this, this belly pooch, if you will. And so I'm like, well, I've really got to ramp up these workout classes, and I'm just going to, eat healthier. I've never been like a diet person, but, let's eat some more lean meats and greens and eat the veggies and less sodas, more water, that kind of thing. So several weeks go by, and I'm just not feeling any better. I wasn't feeling sick. Again, I was not having any morning sickness or anything like that, but I just wasn't noticing any progress, I guess you'd say. And it also did occur to me, I was like, I haven't had my cycle in a while. Could I be pregnant? So I thought, well, let's get a pregnancy test. That is a possibility. So I went to the store, got some pregnancy tests, and even on that note, let me just tell you, so I actually didn't get the pregnancy test at the store. I don't know why I was so self-conscious walking into the grocery store and buying pregnancy tests. I mean, people buy pregnancy tests all the time, but I just felt so weird buying these pregnancy tests. So what did I do? I walked right back out to my car, jump on Amazon. I have an Amazon Prime membership, and I ordered pregnancy tests through Amazon Prime so it could just be mailed discreetly right to my front door. Okay, so they showed up the next day, and there were like 3 tests in the package, and I thought, okay, well, let's just try this. So took the first pregnancy test, pee on the stick, and a minute or two later, what do I see is a little notification that it appears I was pregnant. And I'm kind of freaking out a little bit because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. I'd been wanting to have a baby, for a bit. There's never a right time to do it, right? And if you overthink it, you'll just never do it. So Anyway, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I think this is actually happening. But also in the back of my mind, I was thinking, this test could be wrong. That happens all the time, the false positives. And so thought, okay, I'm going to do it again the next day. So 24 hours later, I, pop into the bathroom real fast and use the second stick, and sure enough, also showed that I was pregnant even a little more clearly this time than the previous one. And thought, oh my gosh, okay, so the 2 out of the 3, like, these can't be wrong, right? Would both, if they both say I'm pregnant, I'm probably pregnant. And I thought, well, heck, I've got 3 of these dang pregnancy tests, so I might as well do the third one just to triple confirm. So the next day, again, peed on the third one, and sure enough, all 3 of them bright glowing, showing that I was indeed pregnant. So shared with my husband, and super, super excited, like showed him all 3 pregnancy tests. I'm sure, he just probably thought I was crazy, but hello, as someone who's not ever been pregnant before, you just hear stories, you see things in the movies, you see what happens on TV. So I thought, I've got to try all 3 pregnancy tests. So anyway, yes, y'all, I found out I was pregnant around the 20-week mark. So, again, kind of a blessing and a curse, because I scooted right through, and the only symptom, quote unquote symptom, I had was just that I was gaining a little bit of weight. And of course, so kind of developing that little belly, a little bit, but I was very fortunate that I bypassed all of the sickness and all that jazz. So we, called the OB and scheduled the appointment to go in and find out exactly how far along I was, because for all I knew, I thought I was just, 8 or 10 weeks in, and much to my surprise, once we got into the office there where they put all the goop on your belly and they look around, they were like, no, you are, it's more like 22 weeks. You're about 22 weeks along. And so we did the calculations there, and we're like, oh my gosh, we're like right around the halfway mark. So again, blessing that I didn't have to go through all of the sickness, but on the other side of the coin, that also just meant less time to prepare for baby. So 22 weeks along. In most cases, pregnancies last around 40 weeks. Sometimes babies show up early at week 38, 37, 39, but also they can go a little longer. I know some mamas who didn't have their kiddos until week 41, 42. And then at that point, it's like, okay, this baby has cooked. We gotta get this kiddo out of here. So I found out at 22 weeks that I was pregnant, and just around that time is when you can do that anatomy scan and find out the gender. And so, we'd shared with the parents that we were expecting, and then got that anatomy scan appointment on the books with the doctor, and went in, found out she was a girl, which I was so stoked about. Would have been happy either way, ultimately looking to have a healthy, happy baby, of course. I do, though, love the dresses, and I kind of grew up as a tomboy and climbing the trees, and was actually the only girl in my neighborhood. But as I got a little older, tended to gravitate more towards the girly things and the pinks and, the Barbies and the dolls and all of that. So, and of course, so a little backstory, I am an only child. So my parents over the years had actually kept many of my toys And, didn't want that to all be for naught. So when I found out I was having a girl, I was just in my mind fast forwarding to, seeing her play with my Barbie dolls and my Care Bears and, maybe wearing a dress that my mom had actually put me in as a baby, because yes, shockingly, I was able to keep many of my childhood clothes and baby dresses. My mom was really good at packing those things away in storage. So anyway, was so excited to find out I was having a girl. And then, of course, finding out so late that I was pregnant, it was kind of like, okay, the game is on. You really just have around 20 weeks or so left to prepare for this baby to come. So as I mentioned, I found out in February of 2018, basically, that I was pregnant. And so shared the news publicly that Valentine's Day. And then, yeah, like I said, the race was on, figuring out preparing the room and all of the things, just nesting and preparing for all of the things that come with having a baby in your house, which neither of us had ever had before, being a first-time parent. So anyway, we start registering for the baby registries, and figuring out what we do need, what we don't need, what really is important, what is just a nice to have. There's all of these lists and all of these registries and recommended products, and it's like, okay, what do you really need and what is just marketing hype? What is really helpful and useful? What is just, a pretty dust catcher that really isn't going to be used? And let's try to eliminate those things and really add to the list what we know we're going to use and need. So anyway, fast forward to, sharing with the parents, sharing the reveal with friends, all of that, finding out it was a girl, finding out she was a girl. And I had decided that, so as I mentioned at the beginning of my story, I've always kind of been afraid of the whole birth process and being pregnant, but my desire to have a family and have a baby eventually just outweighed those fears. And so, but now obviously once you get pregnant, it's like, okay, it's go time. Now you just have to prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, physically for bringing this baby into the world. And so my mom did have to deliver me via emergency C-section. And I just remember, growing up, hearing the story from her. And, of course, I've seen the little scar on her belly and where they put the bikini cut, she told me, to bring me out. And apparently they had to have this emergency C-section with me because the umbilical cord was actually wrapped around my neck. So that was always something that was just frightening to me, like all of these unknowns, all of these things that, you're not in control of any of this. What's going to happen? What can happen? And so throughout this pregnancy process, I was preparing myself for all of the outcomes. However, as someone who I'm knocking on wood right now, I've really never been in the hospital. I've never broken a bone or had like any major surgeries or anything like that. So for me, the idea of going into a hospital to have a planned C-section, for example, was really off the table. And I've had several friends who had great experiences with birth centers. And there are actually a couple of local birthing centers in the Nashville area, which is where we are located, is in Middle Tennessee, in Nashville. So there was a birth center, one birth center in particular that I've had a few friends with great experiences with. And so I thought, I'm going to go this unmedicated natural birth route through a birthing center. It seems way less stressful. I don't want to be hooked up to all of these things. And anyway, that's the route that I had chosen. And so we started working with the birth center and signing up for the new parent classes and all of those types of things, and had such a wonderful experience with the birth center. And really, in my mind, that is exactly how everything was going to go. I was just bent on, I would not need to go to a hospital. I would not need to be put under. I would not need to have an epidural, or anything like that. It was really important to me to focus and believe that the birth center route was going to be the way we were going. So that's how we planned, and all of my pregnancy appointments there, and just had such a wonderful experience with, actually the birth center is called Baby and Company. So such a great birth center. Can't recommend them enough. Always felt so comfortable. And just to give you an example, when I would go into the hospital setting to get checked, they would always say, Krista, are you feeling okay? Your heart rate seems kind of up. You just seem a little stressed. And I probably was. I think for whatever reason, just me being in a medical setting sometime, and especially in these cases when I'm the one under scrutiny, it just makes me a little nervous. But when I'd go to Baby and Company, it was very chill, almost like you're in this spa-like, very relaxed environment, very quiet, nice, just ambient music, and just very relaxing. It doesn't seem super just white, sterile, boring hospital walls. So when I would actually go into Baby and Company and get checked and, have all the vitals taken and everything, they would say, oh, everything looks great. Your rates are good. Everything appears to be moving along just right. So we had such a great experience with them. Can't recommend them enough. So now I'm going to get to what point in my story do I want to share with you now? So really the next steps were, let's say, just moving on into that third trimester, and of course, just those last few weeks of pregnancy. So I had found out, I can't remember what week it was, but at Baby and Company, I had gone in for a visit, and I had learned that baby's head was actually up. So baby's head was up near my rib cage. So what does that mean? That means baby is breech. And when baby is breech, you are not allowed to have you are not allowed to deliver at a birth center. You really need to take that into a hospital setting, and for various reasons, in order, and I don't know about you all, but I just didn't know a whole lot about the birth process. I'm an only child. Many of my friends, I don't know that if any of them are listening, maybe they will inform me after this fact, but I really don't recall any of my friends who have had babies delivering a breech baby. So anyway, I was determined to get baby to turn and get her head down, because at one point she was in position, her head was down, she was starting to drop a little bit, and then somehow at some point she flipped, and so her head was up top, her little feet were down below, and so that's what we mean by having a baby being breech, is that their feet are down, their head are up. And so once your water breaks and you are starting to have contractions and going into laboring and all of that, that head really needs to be down in order for the baby to come out correctly, I guess you would say. Maybe some would argue there's no correct way for a baby to come out, but let's just say the safest way for baby to come out is head first. So at that point in time, they had said, and I can't remember at this point, I might be like 25, 26 weeks along when I found out that baby was breech. And so they said I did have time to turn her, that there were various methods I could try. So all I will say is that I tried all of them to get her turned. And I even plan to do a whole episode on breech birth, what that means, or not breech birth, but what to do if you are attempting to flip your baby. I guess you would say, because I will share all the methods I learned and point you to some resources that were shared with me, because I truly feel like this is a topic people don't talk about. It's something I really had to get some guidance on from the midwives, from the birthing center, from just looking online and all of that jazz. So I intend to do a whole separate episode about breech babies. And anyway, all I will share is I used all the methods and it worked. And let me tell you, some of these methods included, thankfully, I had my baby in July. She was a summer baby, so all the pools were open. So one of those methods, kid you not, friends, was to do handstands in a pool. So I would go to my local pool, I would do handstands for like 15, 20 minutes at a time, which felt really good, quite honestly, because that helped to alleviate some of the pressure off my joints and just felt nice to get in the water and feel a little weightless when you're already feeling so heavy from baby and the growing belly and all of that. So that was one of the methods. Another one involved me basically hanging upside down, practically doing handstands with the help of an ironing board up against my couch with a heating pad down. A heating pad down near my private area. And then I had an ice pack at the top of my belly. So what does that tell you? Trying to get baby to realize, oh, it's cold up here. Let's chase the warmth, right? So I had that heating pad down at the very bottom of my belly, and then I had the ice pack near the top of my belly. So those were three of the methods: the pool, the ironing board upside down, and then the ice pack and the heating pad that I used to encourage her to turn. And friends, there were several others, which I will also share with you, like I said, in a separate episode, but those worked. So I did those methods for a week or two, and I went back in for my next visit, and dun da da da, the baby had turned. Her head was back down. All was good, and I was just, oh my goodness, doing everything I could to keep her in position. But what can you do? You can't force baby to stay in the same spot. All you can do is just pray and maybe keep doing those methods. Although I will say I was a little nervous if I had kept going that I was gonna flip her breech again, So anyway, with all of this, I about drove myself crazy, friends, trying to, because I was so determined, as I said, to have this birth center birth. That's what I was laser focused on, and really was trying to pull out all the stops to just keep baby in position. So I had flipped her, as I mentioned, and then I go back in for another appointment. Now say we're at like week 32, 33, something along those lines. Baby has turned again. She's breech again. Baby goes breech a second time. And so they tell me, this is getting pretty close. Like, we are closing in on the last month or, 1 to 2 months of the pregnancy. And we, you need to be prepared in the event that she doesn't turn, that your plans may need to change to have a hospital birth. So I was wrapping my head around that. At the same time, that just was making me so, so nervous, as was the whole idea of having the baby. But at this point, I had at least wrapped my head around what was to come, having her at the birthing center with the unmedicated birth. So anyway, she turns again. This time I go back to the same methods. I'm doing handstands. I'm doing the ice pack and the heating pad and the ironing board and all of this stuff. And she does turn again. And this point, she's starting to get bigger. She is starting to drop a little bit more down, into the pelvic area, if you will. And so they said, should be good to go. It appears, we're all clear. She hopefully will stay in that position, and I'm good to move forward with this birth center birth. Okay, so I'm ecstatic. I'm so, so excited. So friends, at the same time, so like I said, this is starting to be now week 35, week 36. So, and some people, they do have babies around that 35, 36 week mark, ideally, yes, you want to let them go as long as possible. Fingers crossed, if you can hit that 40-week mark, that really is, that's the quote unquote official time frame, if you will, for gestation with the babies. And so as I was getting closer to that 40-week mark, I was just so excited to see her, so ready to meet her. So that last home stretch of the pregnancy, the last 4 to 6 weeks of the pregnancy, I was so ready to meet this baby. I was happy to have her in the right position. I was feeling so tired. It was uncomfortable sitting anywhere. The couch didn't feel good. The chairs didn't feel good. The, laying down even didn't feel good, because I felt like when I was on my side, regardless of which side I was on, I just felt like my belly was pulling at my hips, and just my body was just so tired. So I was ready to kind of have my body back, if you will, and meet this baby. And I remember the only thing that really felt comfortable for me was an exercise ball. So mamas, if you are expecting and maybe you're not expecting and you have your little, maybe you can agree with me, you might have had a similar experience. That exercise ball was worth every penny, and you can find a good one on Amazon. Oftentimes you can find them also at Ross or TJ Maxx or some of the stores like that. But I will tell you, I ended up having one at the house. I also ended up taking one into my office for that last month of pregnancy, because it got to the point where no chair was comfortable. So highly recommend an exercise ball for you, friends. Side note, that comes in really handy with a fussy baby. I did not know that, but newborns love being held and bounced on an exercise ball. So new mom note for you, secret mom hack right there for you, mom friends. So anyway, that last 4 to 6 week stretch of the pregnancy, I was just exhausted and I was so ready. And each day I was just like, when am I going to meet this baby? Her due date was mid-July. And I remember getting close to that day and just being like, oh my goodness, can she come a week early? Can she please come early? And then I remember all of my coworkers saying, oh, so any day, Krista, we may not see you tomorrow. Now, is this done? Is this done? And what do you think about this? Because we were all preparing for me to be on maternity leave at some point. So it got to the point where her due date comes and I'm just so ready, and I'm not feeling any different or anything like that. I'm not noticing any kind of differences in my body. No contractions or, anything like that. And so her due date comes and goes, and my coworkers were just like, well, we're not going to say anything. We're going to expect that we're going to see you tomorrow. And so I go home, I eat, I am settling in with my exercise ball, just kind of bouncing and hoping that maybe the bouncing up and down will encourage my water to break or the contractions to start or something, just to convince this baby to come on. So anyway, I go to bed and get through another side note. Many of you moms may already know this, but you go to the bathroom a lot when you're pregnant. And so anyway, I had gotten up a couple of times to go to the bathroom. This was on her due date, gotten up a few times. And so I go back to bed, and then it's like 2:00 in the morning, and all of a sudden I just feel this gush. Okay, mama, so that's where I'm going to end this episode. That is part 1 of my birth story. We're going to pick up part 2 on episode 2. So stay tuned for that episode. If it's not up yet, it will be soon. Hopefully it is already, and you can just head on over there to continue hearing about the rest of my birth story and delivering this sweet, precious, beautiful soul and little human that I'm so grateful and thankful to have in my life today. So anyway, part 2, head on over, listen to it. If it's not up yet, it will be soon. Before I wrap this episode, though, at the very beginning, I shared that I would be disclosing a secret mom hack with you, a time-saving tip. So get ready for it. Here it is. One of the best things you can do as you are preparing to meet and deliver your sweet baby. I encourage doing this like 2 months in advance, 2 months before your due date. Just have it ready to go. That way, you know this is done. It's one thing you can check off your to-do list. Let's face it, many of us have to-do lists a mile long, so why not go ahead and remove one of those things from it? That is your birth bag, okay? Get that birth bag ready, all set to go. You can have a number of things in your birth bag. In fact, I am probably going to do an episode soon about what should be in your birth bag, what might be a waste of time to have in your birth bag, could just be taking up space, what to leave out, what to put in it. A few quick tips, really important things I'll tell you right now to have in your birth bag would be a change of clothes for you, comfy clothes that you would want to leave wherever you are delivering this baby that you can come home in. You would want to have your newborn outfit. What cute little outfit are you going to bring your sweet, precious new bundle of joy home in? You will want a hair tie or a headband or something like that. I highly encourage maybe a toothbrush, toothpaste, something along those lines, as well as a swaddle wrap, some type of cozy little blanket for your new sweet baby. Those are just some of the things you will want to have in your birth bag. So I will spill all the beans about what should be included in that birth bag, what might just be taking up space, but all of that to say, today's secret mom hack, time-saving tip is to pack that birth bag, get it ready to go. So when it's go time, when baby is on the way, all you have to do is grab it and go. Something else you could do, you could just go ahead and put it in the car, put it in the back of the car so that when it is time to go, you don't even have to think about it. But if you do, if it's not in your vehicle already, at least it would already be packed. Okay, mamas, so that is my secret mom hack for you today. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of my birth story. I have enjoyed sharing it with you so far. I look forward to sharing the remainder of our birth story with you in the next episode, and really just appreciative of your time today. So I just want to say, as we close, if you're not taking care of yourself, let me just say it's really hard to take care of those you love if you're not taking care of yourself. So just a gentle reminder from me to stay hydrated, make some time for a quick walk around your office, your house, whatever. You know, maybe that's only 5 or 10 minutes. That's okay. If you can squeeze in a 30-minute activity that'll get your heart rate, going and make you sweat, amazing. But any little self-care moment you can give yourself, you are going to be so grateful for. Don't forget to wash your face. Slather on a great overnight moisturizer before bed, and don't forget that sunscreen in the morning. Your skin is going to thank you. Okay, mama, thanks so much for spending some time with me today. I'm really grateful you've chosen to hang out here with me. I look forward to seeing you again soon on another episode. And until then, you've got this, mama.